played a really good team, a team that's one of the best in the country, and came up a play short, and a lot of guys were upset, as well they should be when you're as invested as this crew is, but we got to move on, and there's been a lot of bright eyes and chins up and all that good stuff walking around the facility today, so that's a good sign. I think our guys are ready to go back to work. We know that there is no rest for the weary in this conference, and we're going to go on the road again. Very tough environment to play in, especially at night, and we know that we'll get a very good Texas Tech team's best shot. So we don't have time to pout, to wallow in self-pity about losing a ball game. So we're moving on, and we're 0-0 this week against Texas Tech. Injury updates: Marquez Bimage did dislocate his shoulder, so he will be out. Devontae Davis is still nursing the neck sprain, so he's questionable, I guess would be the right thing. Brecken Hager with a dislocated radius is questionable, and then Brandon Jones with the freak deal that happened to him is also doing everything he can to try to get back, but if we played today would not play, but we're hoping he takes a turn for the better here in the coming days. Other than that, everybody that played in the game should be available to us this week as well. Questions?
Tom, there's a good possibility you could face two quarterbacks this coming weekend with both very different styles. So what's kind of the, how do you defend each style, and then what's the level of difficulty in having to prepare for two guys that you may or may not even see?
I don't think the level of difficulty is unbearable or even that severe. I think when the runner I'm gonna make sure I say his name right. Duffy. Yes, when he's in there, I think you'll see us in more nickel personnel. When Bowman's in there, we'd probably be in a little bit more dime or lightning. So, but we've these guys that have played for us on defense, they kind of know the ins and outs and the strength and weaknesses of each call, and so I think we'll have a good package of both available to us. That is nothing will be completely foreign or new for our guys.
Tom, when you and Todd sit down and look everything over, what's bothered y'all the most about the defense the last few weeks?
Playing a bit tentative, I think. For whatever reason, we haven't cut it loose at times, and that's on us to figure out why. And maybe it's an uncertainty, maybe it's we just playing tentative at times, and I think the easiest way to relieve some of that is to trim down your call sheet a little bit and make sure that guys are ultimately confident in what we're doing. Not that they haven't been, but as coaches you try to uncover every stone, and so that, and then we've got to just more precision. We've got to coach our guys to fit our gaps more precisely, and make sure we're playing a lot more disciplined.
Yeah. How would you evaluate your younger guys now that they've had a few games? Anthony Cook, Caden Stearns. We talk a lot about Chris Boyd and those, but how about the younger guys specifically?
They're doing well. I mean, they've got a lot of room for improvement, as do all the guys at every position. But we have not been displeased with them.
Hey, Coach, obviously you guys have 3 losses, but your average margin of defeat in those losses are 3 points. So how do you just communicate you like that? How do you just communicate to the guys that's, every little thing counts, whether it's, the missed tackles or the assignments, you've talked about that before. How do you get that message, across when you look at this close scores?
Well, I think, the communication of that has been done throughout the 2 years in our program. We've got to continue to coach it better and drive home, those points. But I don't think there's a guy in that locker room that would tell you, hey, we don't understand, that everything matters, and we don't understand what's necessary to win close ball games. We've experienced it, and so we have been able to do it. So it's not like it's something that we haven't done. We just need to do it more consistently.
I believe you said that when you became a head coach, the defense that you wanted to run was 3 down with quarters coverage, correct?
Oh, yeah.
What in this conference might be the blind spot or the weakness for that defense defending some of the offenses in this conference?
There isn't one. I think you see a variation of it from a lot of teams in this conference. So I don't think the conference has anything to do with it. It's football. Every defense has its strengths. Every defensive call has its weaknesses, and you try to make sure that your kids, your players understand all of the ins and outs. But we're very multiple too. I mean, you'll see us play man-to-man coverage. You'll see us play, fire zone when we blitz and man when we blitz, and we'll cloud the corners quite a bit too. So I mean, it's not like we're living in that front end coverage. It is our base, but we are very multiple as well.
Coach, don't want to beat a dead horse, but on the last touchdown by West Virginia, what happened? Because it's a cardinal sin to let somebody behind you in that situation. Is that inexperience? Is that coaching? And the second part, is this just the way of the world now to face another Mike Leach clone here in the Big 12?
I don't know. He certainly has done a good job with his tree of coaches. They've been successful, especially offensively, wherever they've gone. And then, Will Greer made a heck of a throw to a guy that ran a great route. And, we put our guys in position, and, they made a heck of a play.
Hey, Coach. Let's talk a little bit about L.J. Humphrey, okay? I mean, he has grown from a great receiver to even a greater receiver this year. How has that happened? How have you, he just seems like he's so strong with the ball and so determined every time that he goes up for the ball that he won't let anybody take it away from him.
Yeah, development. I mean, he's got a great coach in Drew Maringer, and Corby Meekins now too, and he has really bought into our way of doing things and has continued to improve and enhance his game. This is a guy that again played tailback for most of his life, and so this position was still fairly new. And I know everybody wants change to happen overnight and improvement to happen overnight, but it takes time. And LJ has improved steadily ever since we've been here. And you're right, though. There's some of that when we got here, he had that that fight for the ball mentality, and that's something that's difficult to coach and teach. You either kind of have it or you don't, and he certainly has it. And he would tell you if he were standing here today that he's still got work to do, and he believes that. We believe that, but he's playing really, really well for us right now.
Tom, how well do you know Cliff Kingsbury, and how difficult is it for coaches to consistently produce big-time quarterbacks as far as throwers of the ball like he does from season to season?
I don't know Cliff well. I mean, in passing, we see each other, at Big 12 meetings, stuff like that. We see him on the road every now and again recruiting. We're friendly, certainly, but it's amazing. I think back to, I think it says one to his evaluation of high school prospects and what they're looking for very specifically, and they're not worried about stars or rankings or anything like that. They know what they value, and they continue to recruit it. And then, he does a great job developing them. But, when you've got a quarterback room that's got Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes, and Davis Webb all in the same room, that's a pretty good room. And then now, it's like the ship just keeps on sailing. So it's, I think, a testament to his evaluation and trusting what their program values in that position, and not worrying about anything other than what they see and what they know.
And one more, how easy would it be to overlook the run game as important in what they do?
Oh, I think it'd be easy for the general fan to overlook, because their passing numbers are pretty gaudy. I think they're second in the country in yards per game, but very similar to West Virginia. The quarterback and receivers get a lot of the publicity, if you will, but you better be able to stop the run, or you're gonna bleed a slow death. And they do it well enough to make you have to defend it.
Tom, what was the plan to get pressure on Will Greer, and where did it go wrong? And lost probably in the defense's problems is Sam may have had his best game. Just talk about his development, where you're seeing him make the most progress.
I think the plan was, obviously, when you play coverage, when you drop 8, it's going to be very difficult to get a ton of pressure on anybody, as you saw. The same with West Virginia versus us. That's a difficult task, but you understand, hey, we're gonna drop 8 guys into coverage, and we're gonna try to cover them. And then when we did pressure, I think the one thing that they did a really, really good job is that they had hats for hats on a few of our pressures, and we've got to coach our blitzers better technique in pass rushing. You're not always going to be unblocked as a blitzer. There's going to be hats assigned to you, and we got to do better. So what went wrong? I think probably, the only thing that I can really say that we could do better as coaches is, teach guys when they do get picked up in their pressures. We got to equip them with some better pass rush moves. And then, Sam's playing great right now, and he's still playing hurt. He's, that shoulder's still not fully healed, but, he's gotten through the week of preparation, and he's seen, I think the biggest thing that where you've seen the growth of Sam is, one, he trusts the offense. He trusts, he's throwing the ball on time now more than I've ever seen him. So he's trusting himself. He's trusting the receivers. He's trusting the O-line. He's got a lot of trust right now. And he's aggressive. I think he's not worried about making mistakes. Nobody's played a perfect game yet, and he's being really aggressive. And I think, when you do trust yourself and you trust the offense, your knowledge of the offense, he's seeing the game really well right now too. And so just a lot of factors contributing to his development, and we're excited that he is playing that well for us.
Yeah, Tom, you won 7 games in a bowl game last year. Now that you're sitting at 6-3, what would you say would constitute a successful season this year?
To go 1-0 against Texas Tech.
You got 3 games left.
Yep, to go 1-0 against Texas Tech.
But since you won 7, to show progress to recruits and your own team.
Oh, I think we've shown,
Right.
I mean, all the progress not all the progress, we can still show more progress, but I don't think there's anybody that's watched us for the last 2 years or watched this program for the last 5 or 6 that would argue that we've made substantial progress up until this point. But I'm not going to get into what would be successful and not successful. The big picture is irrelevant. We've got to worry about making progress this week in terms of our level of play to be able to go on the road and win a big-time ball game.
Can you just say where your emotions are, having come so close the last 2 games, but lost them both?
Yeah. Proud and frustrated at the same time. I'm so proud of the way that we fought 2 weeks ago in Stillwater. I'm extremely proud of the level of intensity and physicality that we continue to play with. That is something that will never waver in this program, and I'm extremely proud of that, and certainly frustrated that we couldn't close the deal this past weekend and got off to such a poor start the weekend prior, but we know what we're capable of though too, and so I think optimistic is another. You asked for my emotion, and I don't know if that's an emotion, but I am very optimistic that that we have proven to ourselves what we're capable of, and I have no doubt that we'll see that again this week.
Okay. Coach Herman, to counteract Texas Tech's high-speed style of play, will you encounter a more conservative game plan on offense to kind of slow them down?
Hadn't even thought about it. I mean, it's noon on Monday, so I think there's certainly an element of game management in our pace of play, as evidenced, against Kansas State and against Baylor to a certain degree, especially with our backup quarterback in there. But we also know we got to score, and just like we knew last week, it's not going to be a 17-13 game probably. Although we'd love for it to be.
Would be nice.
So we've got to move the ball the best way that we can, and at times we play pretty well when we play at a pretty good pace too. But it's all predicated on how we feel like we're playing more than it is a game plan or thought process on a Monday.
Tom, with the 4 guaranteed and the redshirt rule the way it is, I know you had to trot out some defensive linemen, but how do you guys kind of manage that? Do you open up the roster, or is it simply by necessity, the fact that you can play some guys and still hold on to that red shirt?
Yeah, I think it's by necessity because the championship game and the bowl game both count in those 4 games too. So you've got to be a bit cautious when you're making that decision even now in game 10. But guys like Moro Ojomo and Jamari Chisholm and Keandre Coburn, I think you're still going to see them play again this week. And then, if and when we do get some guys back, then maybe, I guess for lack of a better term, deactivate them. So it's very much out of necessity. John Burt's another guy we hadn't talked about. He's a guy that's only played in 2 games right now, so we're very specific in the games that he's, quote, activated in as well. So it'll be much of the same, I would think, this week. I think next week, as we start to get maybe hopefully a little bit healthier, will be when some decisions are made.
Tom, it's not very often that you face a starter who was practicing with you guys in August, but
I'm sorry, what?
You guys faced a starter who was practicing with you guys in August, which is the case with John Bonney. Is that familiarity a advantage either way? And if he had stayed, would he be a contributor to your team?
Oh, without a doubt, John would have been a contributor to our team. Yeah, we're really proud of John. It's fun to see him on the, as I was watching their defense this morning, to see him flying around making plays. John's a graduate of the University of Texas and gave us 4 years of his blood, sweat, and tears, and we're very, very thankful to him for that. And we love John Bonney. And is it an advantage? I don't think so. John might know our players maybe a little bit better, than some in terms of strengths and weaknesses, maybe. But he's playing in a completely different defense than what he was playing in here, and he's had 9 games under his belt now of facing many different styles and types of offenses. So. It'll be fun to see him on the field. It'll be fun to give him a big hug, but I don't know that his familiarity with us or ours with him is advantageous either way.
Time for 2 last ones, John and then Jeff.
Coach, you talked about you guys have already proven what they're capable of. Do you think they've kind of forgot that at times over the past couple of weeks?
No, I don't think so. I think, we have hit a stretch of, we're going to see everybody's best shot. There's no doubt about that. And we're banged up. And none of those are excuses, but I don't think forgetting who we are and what we have shown we're capable of is ever really a factor.
Tom, do you feel a little snake bit in terms of you go into the bye week and it seems like your offense got better and your defense didn't? And did something happen over the bye week involving guys on the defensive side of the ball? Because normally you'd probably think coming out of a bye week you'd be sharper than ever.
Yeah, I don't. No, nothing happened. But I don't know. But yeah, we haven't played well on defense the last 2 ball games, and we got to figure out why. And we got to do everything we can as coaches to make sure that that we do and that we play better. And so I don't think being snake bit or anything like that has anything to do with other than playing 2 really, really good offenses in back-to-back weeks, and we didn't play our best on that side of the ball.